Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to Wolfinia. This is episode 307, I think, of my Minecraft survival series. And in the last episode, we spent some time over here in the outer residential district of our city, getting this new residence built. Of course, it is a little bit bare in here right now. We're still waiting for villagers to move in and all. But in addition to that, we did some work over here in the waterway entrance to Wolfinia, the inlet to the New Moon Bay, as you can see. And man, this was a while ago. Things have been a bit rough, and I don't necessarily know that I'm back yet. I don't feel like I'm back yet, but I am back for right now, and there is a lot of stuff that needs to happen here around Wolfinia. You know, Mr. Wolfens and his son seem to be getting a bit impatient with me, so we're going to make some progress over at Wolfens Labs today. So one of the things in my inbox was a note from Mr. Wolfens Jr. I don't know, I don't feel comfortable calling him Wolfred. But he mentioned that it is a little bit dark in here. And yeah, I mean, there are a good number of our light fixtures in here that are lacking bulbs, so maybe we can do something about that. So if we want end rods, we're going to need chorus plants, and chorus plants seem like something that would fit in over here at the Botanical Analysis Division, aka BAD. So I think today what we're going to work on is a BAD addition to Wolfens Labs Quarantine District. Now, we've talked about expanding BAD before, and we gave ourselves room to do so, expanding off of here over into this area, and I think this might be a good spot for our new farm. So let's go ahead and get started. First things first, I need to clean up and clear out this space. And there we go. So hopefully that gives us enough room to build our course farm here. In any case, I think it should at least be big enough to suit our needs. It doesn't have to be massive, right? At this point, what I think I'm going to do is go ahead and start getting the basic layout of the farm in, try to, figure out how we're going to harvest and all that stuff. And I guess we'll just figure out where we go from there. So at this point, what we're going to do is go ahead and call the drone on over to the quarantine district, put on a little bit of music, get lost briefly, and then get to work. Welcome back, everybody. So, at this point, we do have a planting area for our course plants. And as you can see, they are growing in here. They're not done growing quite yet, but they're in here enough that we can test some things out and figure out where to go from here. So, let's go ahead and talk about harvesting our course flowers, which we're going to need for replanting our course plants. We got lots of arrows and crossbows and all that kind of stuff from mob drops, which should probably start going to use, right? And this is one way they could go to use. So, hey, old Betsy. Have I not shot a crossbow on this account before? Probably not. That, I suppose, makes sense. But yeah, this will be a fun way to harvest stuff. Now, I am going to leave my options open. We'll probably bring some other stuff over here as well. Maybe some bows, maybe some snowballs if those work. You know, just kind of have a little bit of variety, right? And, you know, maybe at some point in the future, you know, when I'm sick of doing this myself, we can implement some sort of automated system, because we don't need a ton of these chorus flowers, right? We just need enough to replant and all that. So maybe at that point we'll work in some kind of automated system, but I think for right now, this should suffice. So once we have all the chorus flowers harvested that we need to harvest, we can go ahead and activate this thing right here, which is going to wash all the chorus flowers and the chorus fruit into a water stream, which is as of now incomplete. This room will be sealed, so we won't get stuff landing like that. But what we can do real quick is just see how much that little preliminary and incomplete harvest will net us as far as these flowers and fruits, and that is not too shabby. And then once that's all done, we of course would go back in here and replant. That is the idea anyway. Now, if our focus is end rods, we are not just going to need chorus fruit, we are going to need some popped chorus fruit. So I think an auto smelter might be in order to get some of this stuff right here. And actually, you know what? Before we get around to the auto smelter and the other farm stuff, I was thinking we could probably benefit from making some changes to the layout of this area. One of those things being accessibility, because we do have enough room for a stairway right here that can lead us up into that area, and that could be much more easily accessed from the entrance to Bad right here, because we don't need two stairways both going up and down to the same area right next to each other, right? We could have this stairway, and then this could go straight for a little bit and give us access into that area that I did not make the jump to. And I mean, we're going to have to focus on layout anyway, because we are going to have to stair down from that upper area to go down into this lower area over here, so that way we can take our chorus flowers and replant all our chorus plants, right? So I think right here is a good place for that. Taking this a bit further, why limit ourselves to just a skinny little corridor when we could open this all up and have this whole thing connected? Because it's all bad, right? At least it's all going to be bad. And I know, Mr. Wolfens Jr. only asked for end rods, but hopefully the extra effort is appreciated, right? I'm probably doing a bit much. I'm probably definitely doing a bit much, but you know what? It's fine. This is fine. We're just going to go ahead and do it. I'm committing to it. We're going to do it. So at this point, let's go ahead and call the drone on over here, put on a little bit of music, and get to work, I guess. It's a lot of work to be done. Welcome back, everybody. So, we now have a new addition to the Botanical Analysis Division of Wolfen's Laboratory, aka BAD. Let's go ahead and have a look around. So, we'll first venture downstairs here. This, of course, is not a new addition to BAD. The new addition begins right here at this wall, because this wall gives us access to the new little walkway that we were discussing earlier, which is going to bring us to the new addition to BAD right upstairs here. Now, this does give us access to the rest of the upstairs, including the quarantined hub right over there. And it also gives us access to our new area. We got a couple ways to get over there, as you can see right here. Over this way, we've got our storage for all our stuff that we're going to use to break the coarse flowers off of these coarse plants so we can replant after we've harvested. Now, as far as harvesting goes, I'm thinking maybe a target block like right up here might be one way we can harvest. Also a button somewhere. None of that's wired up yet. Right over here, this is where our auto smelter will be, where we get that popped coarse fruit. And if you venture with me to the final area just downstairs here, this is basically our coarse replanting area. We'll have storage right here for coarse flowers and the like. And then, of course, we can just pop on over here to replant once everything has been harvested and collected. And I think that's pretty much all I have to show you at this point, because as you can see here, the harvesting and collection, none of that stuff is wired up as of right now. You know, normally what I'm doing right now would not be recorded or included in a video, but this time it is. So step number one of getting this whole thing operational is extending our water stream. We're going to want to run this to an item filter. That way we can separate our coarse flowers and bring our coarse flowers over here for replanting, while bringing our coarse fruit up to the smelter for popping. And I think that's that all done. Yeah. Now, as far as our options for fueling our smelter, I think right now we're just going to stick with coal. There are better options available. But, you know, the bamboo that we produce at the House of Leaves is going towards fueling the Reaper currently. The dried kelp blocks at Wharf are, you know, all the way over at Wharf. So, you know, this will suffice for now. Oh my goodness. I left out a very crucial part of this whole thing. Hey, future me, cut everything I just did out. Hey, audience, hi. I just harvested a bunch of coarse flowers, which I will now go and collect manually because I missed a crucial part of this whole process. I never wired up the system that releases the water to flush everything out of this area and take down the still standing coarse plants. So I will need to do that, and then I'll give you an actual demonstration of this whole thing in action, hopefully. Alright, so I've given this a little bit of time to let some of these regrow a bit, and I think what I want to do is a complete harvest of this thing, just to kind of get the whole process down and just see how it feels, see how everything works out. So, firstly, I need to go and take down some of these coarse flowers. And I do find the bow is significantly quicker than the crossbow. And I think we're good. So we've got all our coarse flowers. We can now shoot the target block. And that's going to release water into this area, washing all of that stuff down into the water stream. Standing back so I don't get stuff in my inventory like I did, which is now on dry ground. You know what, that's also fine. Just wash the rest of that down, please. Thank you. And as you can see, our smelter is currently off. I think I'm going to leave it off for just a minute, kind of let some of this coarse fruit back up. It'll back up in the chest, not the hoppers. Hoppers are locked. In the meantime, we can head downstairs and go ahead and grab our coarse flowers, which have been separated, and we can go ahead and get those replanted. And that sounds like all our coarse fruit is in. So we'll start the smelters and everything will begin pouring into here. They'll begin smelting. We'll make a bunch of pop coarse fruit. And that is awesome. That's excellent, in fact. You know, if we forget that I mentioned end rods earlier and just leave that part off and consider this just a chorus farm, that's a whole project started and completed in one episode, which is great. I'm happy with that. So that is where we're going to go ahead and call it for today, guys. I do hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you'll stick around for the next one. As always, I just want to thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I deeply appreciate it. And until next time, I will see you guys later.